Ladies and gentlemen, we might be looking at one of the greatest scams of the 21st century here. Surely you're trying to take the worst photo. She's a pig, mate. There's nothing we can do. Proper bush pig, that photo. Hello, how's it going? Hope you're having a shit one. Welcome back to another episode of roasting and editing your photos. There's not many rules when it comes to photography, apart from what you might learn in school, right? You'd learn about shutter speed, aperture, ISO, exposure triangle shit, right? But even still, you can push boundaries, and really depends on what you're shooting. And a lot of art and photography is up to interpretation. That doesn't mean go crazy, shoot everything on 10,000 ISO. You'll definitely take the worst photos of your life if you do those settings, by the way. If there was to be one mandatory rule in photography, it would be getting your shot in focus, all right? What is that? Honestly, what is that? That's a, look, you sent me another picture. What is that? That's a complete miss. I can't even see the number plate and where you're from. I can't even roast where you're from. Maybe you got something in the water where you live and it affects your cognitive ability. Hold up 1 second, mate, before we get back to the video. We've got these insane 2 creator packs to give away. We've got a Sony A7 Mark IV with a Sigma 35mm, this DJI Neo drone, SanDisk SD card, and these Hoya filters shoved into a Vanguard camera bag with a tripod attached to it. And we have 2 of them, one for the photo comp and one for the raffle. So if you want to find out how you can take one of those home, there's a link in my description, takes to my website. Everything is explained there. Thank you, and back to the video. Create new mask. Select subject. We're going to invert that so it's affecting everything except our subject. Lightroom's done a great job because it's like, look, mate, your car's brutally out of focus. But you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and I'll still do my best subject trace for you. How about that? How does that sound, you know? And that's really nice of Lightroom because he didn't have to do that for you. I sure as fuck wouldn't have done that for you. Clement, yeah, what I want you to do right now, I want you to send an email right now to Adobe. I want you to thank them. Go, hello, Mr. Adobe. Thank you for making such a forgiving subject AI selecting tool. Thank you so much. Because look, that was very kind of them. I'm just having a bit of a play around with my colors. I've made a radial adjustment, so I'm thinking maybe we could do something with that. So I'm just brightening it up a bit. I wouldn't mind doing a selection over the road as well. Let's darken the road a bit and let's take some saturation out of it. Do a radial filter over the whole image, mainly affecting the middle of it, and just bring some brightness up, some shadows out maybe, highlights down, some saturation up. Maybe I took too much exposure down here and I didn't affect the car enough. So let's try that. Let's try another subject selection here. Again, Lightroom being very generous. And we'll add a bit more contrast and a little bit more saturation into the car itself. Yeah, let's play into those reds and those yellows, maybe something like that. Midtones, what's affecting the midtones? Okay, it's more like the car and that center bit back there. That can also be a bit warmer, and some highlights. What's affecting the highlights? The road at the back there. So really a lot of the photo is affected by shadows. And what if we did, just as one last final adjustment, we just darken the windscreen here. Let's see what that looks like. See if that helps our situation anymore. Now I got Topaz not too long ago. I know they were advertising with like refocusing, their sharpening abilities and denoising, but I haven't noticed a huge difference compared to what you can do in Lightroom with the AI denoise, the super res and the raw details. Is the number plate crooked? I only just noticed that. Okay, add enhancements, sharpen, and they have something called refocus. So let's see how it does. Strength, 100. Oh my God, no. It does help a bit. That is a pretty substantial difference from that to that. It is definitely has been refocused. Just looks a little bit AI-y, but from a distance, that is a little bit better. Oh, thank you, Topaz. Were you drunk when you took this picture? I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. Why is the car parked like that, first of all? Are you walking on an overpass? Is there someone in the car? No, it's locked. The mirrors are folded in, the lights are off. It's parked on the side of the road. It looks like it's broken down. Just would love to know the backstory of this. I feel like I get these photos, I get sent in, and then I tear them apart here on the internet, and it's on there forever for everyone to see, but I might not be getting the full context here. If the car is broken down and has parked there, different story. But I'm sorry, if you have told the owner of that car to park it there and you've ran up on this overpass and shot down onto it, and that's the photo you've produced, that is tragic. Okay, That's all I'm trying to say here. The whole point of being a photographer is to showcase something, you know, to capture the moment, to capture, I'm not saying you're not capturing a moment, you're definitely capturing a moment here, right? You're trying to capture the best image possible. This is not a reflection of that. It's like the equivalent of trying to sell a multi-million-dollar mansion and you sell it by photographing the garbage bin out the back. You somehow manage to insult both the car community and the entire photography industry in one photo here. I don't know if I should be talking about this or just calling the police, because this is criminal. Sorry, Ethan, you gotta do better than that. The person sent me this photo. He sent this photo in alongside the screenshot from when I shot up at Macedon with the XJ. And he's got this, he's definitely one-upped me with a beautiful Toyota Hiace. What an incredible car. From Western Australia as well, which if you don't know, pretty much the opposite side of Australia to get to Macedon. It's like almost driving across all of America or all of Europe to get to this location. From, I'm assuming he's from Perth because no one really lives anywhere else in Western Australia, unless you're from Broome, but I don't even know if they've got an internet connection up that way. This is a really cool photo. Obviously doing a road trip around Australia, and how cool to get to Macedon in autumn. It's a shame that it's overcast though, because this spot, when the sunlight hits it in autumn, is just a million times better. So welcome to Melbourne. Good amount of detail in the shadows. Let's get a radial filter going from the top here. Expose that a bit up that way. Bring the shadows down, highlights up. Well, we should probably turn the headlights on, hey, so let's just do that quickly. We'll do one mask over the headlights just to brighten them first. Make them a little bit more yellow, because they're probably halogen. And then bring the feathering right up. Nice. Okay, this should be the easiest subject selection ever because it's basically just a rectangle. Lightroom would have loved that. And it did an amazing job. For the first time ever, it did the most accurate subject selection on a car I've ever seen. Do a cheeky invert and let's bring that down. Let's bring some saturation up. Get a bit of tint going. I want to see what happens if we bring a linear gradient from the ground that way and we take some saturation out of the ground here. Let's bring a bit of fade into it, crush the blacks a little bit, bring the exposure up. Let's try and get some of these colors popping. So we're going to bring the yellows across, bring some red saturation up and some red luminance up as well. I'm going to bring my tint across on my camera calibration, really play into those reds. And maybe boost a bit of saturation as well from everything except the blues. Clarity and texture can stay where they are. We're gonna drop some shadows a little bit. Yeah, bring some shadows down and some highlights up. Probably do with a linear gradient on the right side of the photo, and we bring a little bit of exposure up with some shadows. There's not a whole lot I can do about the sky up here, hey. Yeah, let's just keep it bright. That's fine. Could bring a little bit more yellows into the shadows here. Let's see, what are our highlights doing? Make those pop a little bit and our midtones pop a little bit. There we go, before, after. Before, after. Bit of a simple edit, but we make it pop. This photo looks like it belongs on one of those conspiracy theory forums. It's just got that look, you know? All those conspiracy theories, like, they're all shot on this kind of camera, you know? Like, even the way that the color science is, just in the raw photo or the JPEG or whatever, just the way that it looks. Actually, no, it's worse than that. I swear to God, I've seen better quality from some of those Bigfoot sighting videos compared to this. This is worse. We're in 2024. This is a modern car. I didn't even know you could own cameras this shit anymore. If it was any blurrier, it would almost qualify for like an abstract painting. That's actually genius. You know what you should do? You should take a photo like this. It's so undeniably bad, but then you print it massive, huge, and you somehow get it into a museum and you wait for some pretentious art snob to come across and buy it and you sell it for big bucks. Wow. What a masterpiece. I love it. And they try and figure out some artistic meaning about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we might be looking at one of the greatest scams of the 21st century here. I respect anyone who goes out in the rain because obviously it's not really a thing that you want to put your camera through because it feels wrong to do. It feels wrong to get expensive equipment you work so hard to get and you work so hard to keep clean, but you do get incredible photos out of it. If I'm going to be brutally honest here, I don't think the rain is helping this image that much. I think there's a lot going on here. We've got the car, we've got the forest, we've got you shooting through an underpass, and we've got your subject here. A lot of things in this picture are fighting for attention, and it's clashing. You've got two subjects here. You have your model, Jason Statham's 7 Series from Transporter 1. This spacing right here, I would have loved to have seen the car come to an end. If you got your mate to take a step to the left, or you even took a step to the right to allow a bit more of that spacing to happen, that would have created so much more breathing room for the picture. That's a really small detail, which goes a long way, because at the moment, your mate there, he's standing, he's got his hands in his pocket, he looks like he's about to steal the car. If Jason Statham's in there, your mate's fucked.
Right, so you took my car, yeah? You slapped the wheels of a fucking shopping trolley on it, and you parked it out in the rain to look all mysterious. Mate, that's not the Transporter. That's the breakdown.
Oh, that's the other thing. No headlights. The headlights would have been better. If we could get the headlights on here and maybe create some beams, that would have been nicer. The hazard lights on is a bit whack. Let's just try and fuck around with the color wheel here. I love the color grading wheel so much. Maybe some yellows in the sky. I love a warm thunderstorm where you can go outside, you can wear shorts and a t-shirt, but it's raining. There's nothing like it. It's awesome. And I really want to try and recreate that. And we can boost some luminance there. Let's get a little bit of fade going. And I love the matte finish usually. I'm just going to make some really small adjustments on the tone curve. We might come back to that. Sometimes I just really love to bring down this to create a bit more warmth. I think we need some selective adjustments. Let's bring a radial mask over the top here. Boost the exposure a bit, bring out some contrast, keep some saturation in there, and let's get some clarity out, see what that's doing, and we'll make it a bit warmer as well. Maybe we'll go for a 2x1. We need to play around with a bit of the greens here. Bring some saturation out, we'll bring them over a bit more yellow. Do like a bit of luminance there. So it's the yellows and greens that are really affecting the grass here. Let's bring some luminance up in those as well. Let's get our shadows a little bit warmer. Let's take some clarity out, bring some texture up. And I feel like we need a bit more brightness on this side. So let's just do that. Let's bring it up a bit. Maybe bring a bit of shadows out as well. Maybe we need a longer gradient. I don't really want it affecting the left corner here. So let's just subtract it with a brush. Let's just take it out of this corner. And what if this is actually just completely dark? What does that look like? Try and shift some focus towards the car. I'm not super happy with that. But again, bro, if you just spaced it properly, if you just got your mate to move over, this edit would have been so much better. It's your fault, not mine. This has got to be some kind of joke now at this point. Surely you're trying to take the worst photo. I mean, it's a beautiful car. Is it a touring or is it a sedan? I can't tell. It's so blown out there. I can't tell. Oh no, it is a sedan. Why the fuck do you send these pictures into me? What do you actually expect me to do here? Edit wise, whoever took this photo and sent it in, you're going to get a knock on the door from Guinness, because you currently hold the world record for most eye surgeries needed after looking at a photo. Far out. Maybe that's for the next photo comp. Next photo comp, the theme is worst picture. Do we like it or no? I'm going to write it down anyway. That's a contender for sure. That's really bad. We got some complaints about the last photo comp because apparently there were too many quote unquote professionals who already had good equipment who entered their photo and won. And it's not because they won because they were professionals or had good equipment. It's because a lot of the photos that were sent in were like this. Mate, that's not gonna win. I think it's a really great photo. I like the bike as well. But I couldn't help but think that this photo could have been improved a lot by the shutter speed, because right now it looks like you can't really tell how much movement is happening in this photo. And I think when it comes to anything motorsport related or when it comes to vehicles moving, I think the slower the shutter speed, the better. But obviously you may not always have the luxury of that, and panning shots are difficult, especially around when the subject is so close to you on a wide lens. It's very difficult to get that correct. But I thought it could be cool to show you how, if you do get a photo like this, to show you how to add some movement in your photo. So yeah, like I said, the pen tool is the best way that I like to select my subject. It is the longest way to do it, but it is the most accurate way to do it. So we're just gonna go ahead and select around the subject. Okay, there it is. Make selection, save the selection, call it Ducati bike. And I'm making a new layer as well. And then while I'm at it, I'll just get rid of this interior piece as well. Just quickly mask it out here. Oops, create a mask, switch it to black in front. Looks a little bit rough, but just for the sake of this tutorial. So we've got our separate layer of the bike, and now we're gonna load the selection that we just saved. Load selection, Ducati bike, okay. Make sure you select it on the right layer, on the original layer of the thing, and content aware fill. That's not perfect, but that's good enough. So right there, we've pretty much got rid of the bike. So now we're gonna make that all one layer, everything we've made. So by pressing Shift, Option, Command E, and now we've got one entire layer of the bike missing and then a separate layer of the bike itself, right? I'll make a new layer of that. And we're gonna open up Filter, Blur Gallery, and I like to use Path Blur. And Path Blur creates these like little lines here. So we're gonna get these lines and basically just draw them roughly where the road is as well. We're gonna follow the lines of the roads. And we're just gonna make a whole bunch of them. So the more lines you can put in, the more accurate your blur is gonna be. And just keep it going the whole way around the sky as well. Okay, and then yeah, we can also change the speed of it as well, about how fast we actually want it to go. But there gets to a limit where it starts to look a bit unrealistic. So yeah, let's just try it at 50%. And then click OK. Bob's your uncle, Jack's your dad. And then now you've got this blurring effect happening. However, we notice on the wheel here, the wheels aren't spinning, right? We might actually create a second layer for our subject as well, so we can always mask and go back. Blur Gallery, Spin Blur, and I'm just gonna drag that over the wheel area, and I'm just gonna change the rotation of this, maybe spin it around that way, whack that on, and then we will create a mask because a brake caliper doesn't actually spin, so we can get the brake back there. And there we go. There's before and after, bang and bang. So there we go, back in Lightroom now. Just gonna whack a preset on it, get some exposure down, shadows down, maybe some highlights up. I might even darken the road a little bit as well, actually. Subtract it from our subject, keep that nice and bright. Before, after. This preset is from my V4 pack. If you wanna download my presets, you can head over to my website at North Borders, or you can click the link in my description. Each preset and each preset pack comes with either installation guides on how to use the presets. On the V4 pack and the Mega pack, they come with their own tutorials for every single preset in the pack to show you how to use the presets to the best of their ability. Plus, they also come with their own raw files from me if you want to practice your editing on that. So if you want to get those, there's a link in my description, or you can head over to northborders.co. Look at that, mate. I'm fucking Picasso. Perfect. This is a sick photo. It's a little bit shaky at the back here, but that's all right. This side of the car, this quarter panel is nailed. From Sweden, that's cool. RX-7 in Sweden's gonna be a bit rare. I couldn't imagine many of those being up in that part of the world. Can someone confirm this for me, actually? I've heard in Sweden, to get a speeding ticket, the camera needs to pick up your face. If there's no face in the picture that the speed camera picks up, that means they don't send the fine. That's what someone from Sweden told me, and he was racing through all the tunnels when I was with him in Sweden.
No problem. The speed camera doesn't, they're not going to send me the fine because the camera does not get my face.
That good Swede accent. If you're from Sweden and you're watching, can you please confirm that or not? Because if that is the case, it must be nice, because we have the strictest speeding laws here in Australia and they're fucking bullshit. I'm gonna bring some aquas in here and some red highlights. I'm gonna play into more of the aquas on the red channel here. Probably keep our highlights nice and bright. Keep our shadows down, our whites down, blacks down as well. The green's actually starting to affect the wheel here, so we need to change that. Brush tool out, and brush over the wheel here. Click Y and then T to get our toolbar up. And we're just gonna create this split, this Y split. And that way, this is the easiest way to get your color back to the original. Something like that. Yeah, I think so. Nice one. All right, we get a radial filter. We're gonna go over the entire ground here, but we're gonna subtract it from our subject. I'm gonna darken the whole road here and also bring up some clarity. And then I'm gonna get another radial filter from the bottom here with an even bigger spread on it, something like that. And darken it even a little bit more, like that. Portrait's sort of pissing me off, actually. I don't know why I didn't do that sooner. That's a lot better. But I've just noticed the tail lights, they're not tail lighting like they should be. So I might bring some saturation back in there, bring some purples. Those wheels haven't really convinced me yet. I think they're still a bit off color-wise. Shift M, going to create a radial filter from the top here and bring some highlights up as well. Oh, fuck, it looks shit. You want to know a fun fact? I got ChatGPT to analyze this photo and it told me that 5.37% of the image is owned by this man with his coffee cup. Mr. Man Bun with his morning coffee managed to get almost more real estate in the photo than the pink hurricane. I don't know what you want me to do here. You guys send me photos in here. JPEG as well. Great. Thanks, Sean. Sean with a W, right? Maybe spell your name fucking correctly and then maybe I'll edit your photo. Sean with a W. Fucking Jesus. There we go. How about that? You know, I don't know what you expect me to do edit-wise, you know. I'll be putting lipstick on a pig at this point, you know. I'll be polishing a turd. She's a pig, mate. There's nothing we can do. Proper bush pig, that photo. I can't say exactly what a bush pig is, but if you know what it is, then that's what this picture is. Damn, look at this shot. That's got to be Scotland, surely. Don't try and tell me that ain't Scotland, because that is the most Scottish Highland thing I've ever seen. Scotland forever! So many JPEGs. How did I end up with so many JPEG pictures in this episode? I think we can still work with it. Honestly, a JPEG is not even too bad. If the photo is correctly exposed and it's during the day, you can work with a JPEG. The only thing that annoys me is we can't do a denoise, which would have helped us here. But maybe we can chuck it into Topaz and see what we can do. What's that over there? What is that? For a second, I thought it was the head of like a deer, like antlers. I don't know why I thought that. Just chilling. Let's try and make these colors a bit more cohesive. So we've got a lot of like yellow green over here and then a lot more stronger green over here. When I think of the Scottish Highlands, I always think of that luscious green. Let's try and bring those yellows across a bit more to the greens, and we'll bring some luminance up in our greens as well here like that. See what happens if we bring a little bit of fade in and we crush the blacks, and we bring some shadows down like so. Keep the highlights nice and bright. Let's try a linear gradient from the top. Let's bring the exposure up a bit and a touch of saturation and a bit more of a green tinge. Oh, nice. It's already a huge difference. Let's see if we can't do anything about our car here. I don't think we're going to have much detail to work with. So we may as well just play into the shadows here. Keep the highlights nice and bright. Get the blues going a bit more. And just want to see what this looks like. I love a nice dark windscreen. Just a little bit darker. Let's see what we can do color grading wise. Oh, I like playing into those aqua shadows. Some greeny yellow highlights and midtones. What's that affecting? More or less the sky. I don't mind that. I don't mind a bit of a green highlight in the sky there. That's looking pretty nice and lush. Take a little bit of the green primary out. Let me just try real quick as well. I just want to see what this does. If we bring a brush tool on this side, just going to go really rough just to get an idea. And we try and focus it a bit more to the greens. Bring a bit of saturation out, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Before, after. I like that. It's nice and simple. Let's export that. Export with previous. And what if, oh, maybe we can just denoise the subject itself. I don't think the whole image needs a denoise. What if we try like just 10%, just a little bit? Probably need a bit more. Okay, I think 20 is a sweet spot then. Yeah, not a huge difference. Look, to be honest, I feel like Topaz can be a bit of a hit and miss. That'll do. I like that. I'm happy with that. This is the worst example of spray and pray. Oh my God! There's no way you can convince me that you didn't just spin around 40 times, make yourself incredibly dizzy, hold your hand over your eyes, and then take a photo. I don't give a shit if you photographed it on an iPhone. I've taken better photos on the Pentax. I don't like the lighting. I don't like the background. You know, actually, I don't mind the car. You know, it's actually, the car is fine. Fucking black and white, call it a day. That's actually a lot better now that's black and white. Now I like the picture. Maybe it was just the colors I really hated. Maybe we just bring a bit of exposure down at the top there. Oops. What happens if we bring some exposure down there? Just crank that shit. Get a bit of fade going. Get a bit of grain going. Straighten that bitch up. There we go. That's better. All right. Oh, whoa. Don't fuck with the white balance on a black and white image. Ooh. I'm actually super happy with that. This is not a photo I'd usually edit, but I wanted to show it off anyway. I really love this photo. I just think it looks awesome. It's a very unique angle of something really awesome happening. A little bit warp magoo going on over here. A lot of the photos I've edited today or attempted to edit today is not usually something I would edit. And to be completely honest with you guys, I've definitely struggled in today's video when it comes to editing. Honestly, I'd fucking just do that temperature across to more of the oranges, a bit more of a warmer look, and just call it a day. It could probably use with a bit of a saturation bump on the car itself, like our reds and our oranges. Some of the greens could come out, and maybe a little bit of fade, a little highlight boost as well, and we can make that a little bit more matte. Something just really simple. I wonder what a bit of grain actually would look like on this. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna double down on the grain. Maybe a radial filter from the top here. A bit more of a highlight boost. Keep the shadows in, I reckon, and keep our rule of thirds on the tree here. What does it look like if we bring a little bit more oranges in? And from the bottom here as well, from the shadows. What do we think? Before, after? Because I feel like the before, because of how the sunlight's hitting the plants here, I like these little fern plants as well. I think they look great, and they're really nice to edit too. But they look a bit HDR-ish. So I took out some of the highlights by using like this part here, the tone curve, to make it a bit more dull. And that way it's got a bit of a flatter look, but it sort of works with the photo, you know? Maybe a bit of texture still can come in, and a little bit of clarity can come out, and a little bit of dehaze can come out. And the vibrance saturation is good where it is. And I kind of like, especially during the day when the sunlight's hitting it, and I think because of all the dust in the area, you do actually get this little bit of diffused light happening. And I kind of like it when the greens have this dull look to them. Yeah, something like that. I'm pretty happy with that. Before, after. I'm sticking with the grain. That is an ugly car. Who the fuck allowed that person to spec a Porsche? And the Cayenne Coupe, I don't know. I do like the Cayennes, but the Cayenne Coupe has always looked just a little bit awkward to me. In like baby puke green as well, with black wheels. Oh God. That is not very nice to look at. Maybe it's just the angle as well. Because I love the new design of the Porsches with their new taillight design on all their new lineup, but I don't think anyone was like, fuck yeah, finally a Cayenne Coupe. But then sure enough, people buy them. People buy them and people spec them like that. They must know something that I don't, because I don't know why. You work hard. Fuck yeah, I've made some money for myself. You know what? I'm gonna buy myself a Porsche. I've made it, you know, I'm finally ready. They're gonna help me spec out a Porsche. They order that, that's the car they want. If there was something you could have done differently, maybe gone up the car park and shot through one of these, I feel like that would have been a pretty interesting shot. You know, like if you were shooting from above on the other side of this ramp and shooting through, basically so you could get less of the car and more of the location. I think that's really the problem here. The shadow range is really good. I like to see that. We love a good raw photo. Bring some exposure down here, bring some highlights, keep the shadows down as well. Let's try and get a radial filter from this side, and then we'll do a subject selection over the car here. It's done a pretty good job. Bring some color back into it. We'll get the color just right. Don't worry, that's pretty good there. Something I really like to do is we've selected our subject like we've done here, and we make a duplicate copy of the subject and we invert it. Now what you can do in Lightroom, inside the selective adjustments, they give you a tone curve now, which is really cool. So you can really have a play around with the colors of your location without affecting the car. So you can really go into selective adjustments. So I think because it's an interesting color of a car, why not just make the whole location a bit more interesting? So let's bring that down, bring the highlights of the reds across a bit. That can stay where it is. And yeah, let's go for that matrix green actually. That looks pretty good. I mean, it looks shit, but that's why it's good, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's the whole point of the car, yeah? And now we can go into the tone curve and affect our whole image together cohesively and bring some shadows down, a little bit of fade. What does it look like if we bring a big linear gradient and give it a big grade and give it a lot of room to have its effect? I want to sort of just darken this area right here, something like that. And we'll bring a radial gradient across the whole image here, mainly affecting the car. We'll bring a bit of shadows up here, maybe a touch of saturation as well. Let's go for a 16:10. Just crop it in a little bit. Bring a bit of clarity. I'm gonna boost the luminance of our midtones and a little bit on our highlights here. And I reckon we'll call it there. Here's our before and after. One more time, before and after. Interesting edit for an interesting car.